Okay, so we're going to learn how to slice up some text in Photoshop. First thing you want to do is actually grab your text layer here on the left, and your text tool I should say, and type out your text onto a layer. Now, I've already done this because most people doing this probably understand that step, but that's pretty much it. Now you want to make sure you have your layers palette turned on. So under window and layers, you want to make sure that's turned on so you can see your layers here on the right hand side. So I've got my text layer selected. What I need to do, the first thing I'm actually going to do is I want to create a quick drop shadow. So I'm going to actually click on this layer, go to effects, click drop shadow. I'm just going to apply a pretty hefty shadow, so pretty heavy. That looks pretty good. So adjust that until you're happy with it. So your distance, your spread, make sure the opacity is nice and high if it's not sort of showing up much, and just click OK. So we've got our drop shadow just for a little added effect. But the actual process of slicing the text, what we're going to do, we're going to go up here to our polygon lasso tool. If you can't see it, hold down. If you see a lasso tool or the magnetic lasso tool, you can actually hold down and click and hold to choose the polygon lasso. I'm going to cut right through here, and I'm going to create a box around this section of the text. Now with my text layer selected, I go down the bottom here to this square with a circle and I mask that layer. So we get the bottom half of the slice. Now what I want to do, we're actually going to shadow this as well. I'm going to click and drag down to the plus symbol to duplicate that layer. Now if I click on the mask here, this black and white area, I can either go Control or Command I, or I can go to Image, Adjustments, and Invert. But from now on, I'm just going to hit Control I. So now I actually have two slices. I can hold down Control or I can grab my Move tool, but I'm just going to hold down Control or Command, and I can shuffle this over a little bit if I want to. Yeah, I can also go to Edit, Free Transform, or just Control T. Go to the corner and sort of rotate it a little bit if I want to as well. So now we have some sliced text. You can sort of play with that and do what you want with it. But to take it a step further, is we want to actually shadow it a little bit. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to select the bottom layer because I want to cut out a chunk over here on the left. So I can still get that polygon, and I can select through to say here and do that. I'm actually going to drag this layer down and duplicate it again, making sure I have the layer I'm cutting. You can tell because the white area is on the bottom here, or you can also simply turn the layers off if you want to check, make sure you got the right ones. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on the mask here. What I want to check before I do anything else now is I go over here, and under my colors, I want to make sure I've got black on the right. If you're not sure, click this button to reset. You can also switch it back and forward. But I'm going to go to my layer over here and hit delete. And so now this top layer has had that section removed. And now what I want to do is I want to invert my selection. So I can either go to select and inverse, or I can just hit Control Shift I, or whatever the Mac equivalent is of that. I believe it's Command Control, I'm not too sure. Anyway, select inverse. I now go down to the layer I originally had, and again I hit delete. So now that's one small slice. If I hit Control D or just deselect, so I can go to select, deselect. Now I can see the slice here on the right. I can grab that and just shuffle it off. So we get this effect. It's probably getting a little bit difficult to read, but you sort of get the idea. We can rotate it a little. And we can go ahead and repeat that process on the top layer and a few sections as we go. So I'm just going to speed ahead and do that. Okay, so you see it's probably a little overdone, but you can see what's possible with this method. And what I'm actually going to do now is I've got this slice here. It's sort of looking a little bit too dark. So I can take the layer and just change the order and put it on top of the other layers and then position that. I can also even resize if I want to shrink it slightly. So I've got a few options here to sort of get that into a position. One thing I can also do is I can cheat a little and chop a little off the bottom, delete, and go through and make those little adjustments. So once you've got all those pieces, you can shuffle them around, make sure they're still fairly legible, and really adjust it until you get the look you're after. This is probably a bit too much, but you get the idea of what's possible when you have a bit of a play around. So once again, I want to move that up and reorder the layer so it sort of shows up a bit better. So you get this cool effect. That's probably a little overdone. The original slice is probably enough for most people, but just wanted to show you what's possible if you want to play with it a bit further. So I hope you liked the video. Pretty straightforward, easy tip for today, but a nifty effect. And yeah, if you want more like this, please consider giving the video a like, and I hope to see you again soon.